it started out just as a little seed. I mean, as I was first sitting on the back step, and there was the sense of, I need to work with children in this way that really is a sense of respecting and trusting each child and letting to see what happens. That little seed has blossomed to working with 30 children and about 10 children individually, involving the whole community. I mean, I think that the reason why this is working and growing as well as it is because it's coming from the children. They are deciding what it is, and it's unfolding from them. And so the power that it has is limitless.
I'm going to start kind of at the beginning, Jim, because Jean became a very deep figure in my life really quickly. I started my internship with her in '91, so Bergita wasn't long in the doing, and I found out about Jean and Bergita through Marilyn Sturbick. She was like a quarter ahead of me at Antioch, and I was just determined that, I'd spent my life in sort of an alternative way, and I was like, I've got to do this and learn about diagnosis and blah, blah, blah. And I had this profound dream that pretty much told me I would not make it psychically if I went through all of that. It's just, it was like, you can't do that. You won't make it. And so I was just, I had a couple of internships at clinics, at sort of classical, and so I just pulled it together and called Jean. And we met downtown, and I don't know, we just clicked right away. She told me that Bergita was from a dream, and I told her I was talking to her because of a dream.
Oh yeah.
And so I started my internship. What happened was over 95, we probably had to move Bergita a couple times. And somewhere in that process, I started writing the grants. So Jean, the way Jean told me, she said, just write a letter to somebody named Marge. And so I did. That was sort of my first grant.
Call her Marge.
Yeah.
Sure.
I wrote to Marge. And it became more different when Jean became ill with cancer. I had to take over as acting director and the grant writer and the supervisor. And so things that Jean had, wanted in there as a founder, in her absence were shifting as I attempted to keep making money through grants. When she returned, it was hard for her to return with the same boldness. Mm. And I think she had changed. Mm. I think that the cancer had shifted. She told me some of the dreams she had during that time. I actually drove her to Seattle for a couple of her treatments. And during that time, we were together processing her shifts through illness. And meanwhile, I was kind of quietly carrying on with Bergita House, not really thinking about any change. I wasn't purposely going, Jean's gone, I'll make some changes. It was that my languaging of the work, and I was really being hit strongly in the community, with the Rotary and other places. We don't understand what you're talking about. And so I had to kind of find language that crossed bridges. I just have so many images of, her voice, her leaning over a child at the computer and helping them with the wet newspaper. She just, when she was with a child, she was just open.
Yeah.
And she just gave and took from that openness. And that's Jean. That was Jean. I remember just, a little kid, a parent who was just traumatizing a little kid, and the little one just said, I'm not coming back here, because he couldn't tolerate, and I came,
diversity.
And I came up and I was just weeping, and Jean understood that. Yeah. She understood what broke my heart.
I don't know, but it's always sounded to me like the issue was about whether we're going to label the kids or not. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It seemed like that that was the part that came through to me, was Jean's anxiousness about not labeling the children as at risk or whatever else. And she wanted to keep from doing that. But in order to make money, you pretty much had to do that.
You had to do something toward it. Yeah, you had to approach it. That's a really good point. Yeah, and I wasn't sure we had to label the kids. We may have to label some of the family systems as being in higher need. I think during those last 3 years, she and I were working on a clarification that would help both of us to continue on our path.
The Bergita House had a group component and an individual component, it seemed. And I don't know I know people were part of the group thing, but I don't know to the extent. I remember we had the clowns, for instance, and the parade and open house and things that. But I don't know if that was all Jean or if that was the whole place. You know.
I think Jean had she had a lot of her energetic brought that together. I don't think it was. I think as long as it presented itself, she fostered it. She didn't ask for it. You know, it was something that somebody brought up, and she said, "Why not?"
Yeah.
She was
an introvert.
She always was kind of like, "Well, why not?" So, I think in the end, it was really, I think what I was moving toward that day when you and I were talking, and this was such a gift she gave me. She and I went, it was on a weekend, we went to close down Bergita House together, and we were going to pack up the toys. And she said something to me about Bergita House changing, and I just sort of threw a temper tantrum. And Jean listened, and that's the gift. It was, we weren't fighting over some sort of ego about Bergita House. We were trying to figure out, where to go. And I said, it didn't need to close, Jean. It didn't need to close. I want to see these kids, and this is the way I want to see them. And she heard me. We went on to pack up the miniatures, and it was so it was a Saturday, and the following Tuesday she called me. Yeah. And she said, I've given this some deep thought, and she said, you're not done. So you take the rest of the miniatures that aren't mine, and you take what's left of the nonprofit cash, and you do what you want. And we both know it can't be called Bergita House. That's done. So she just opened up that, I wasn't thinking of, I want it. I was just thinking of the grief of, I could have done something. So she was the one who gave me the bridge.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad we came back to revisit that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was very clear, it won't be Bergita House. And so that was where we had already, not quite knowingly, we had kind of done our grieving together, not knowing that there'd be a new baby.
How much money was involved with the Jean left for the transition?
I think it was around 15,000.
Oh, that's a big number.
Yeah. It wasn't 5, it was 15. I think that jumping mouse, I wasn't afraid to use the word therapy. I wasn't afraid to just...
And Jean was. She didn't like to use that word. Yeah.
No, she didn't. Because behind that word came a whole bunch of other words. Like the diagnosis and blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
And the state telling you what to do. And,
right, and the labeling.
Yeah. the one thing I regret, and I wish I could have just said, Jean, look it. I wish I would have called her. I mean, I was so hyper busy. But I wish I would have said, Jean, walk through these walls with me.
Yeah.
You know, just...
I think she was afraid to do that, to get him, she'd not get caught, get involved, you know. She had promised to help me. Honestly, I was I think the villain here in that. I needed help desperately, and I was so appreciative of her help. And then there were things we did together. I mean, I was going to Europe a lot, and so she went with me.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never forget meeting her downtown and just, I mean, I worked with Montessori, and I knew what I had to give kids, but I didn't know if there was a place for me to do that. I didn't know that. And it was Jean saying there is a place, you know. And so that was a gate for me to do the next 30 years, you know. And that is courage of one individual offering a gate to another individual.
That's cool. That's really nice.
So.
It's sort of my process to constantly, it's always watching to see what's happening, because I never know. What is needed right now? What are the children needing right now? Well, right now, I mean, they just did Monday Night Live for the town. So I thought, well, they'll probably end up going and doing it for the different schools or traveling to other places now that they've got this great show. But the energy just went, psh, it wasn't there anymore. And now it's all focused on this house. They want to fix up the house, they want to fix up the garden, they want to rototill the backyard and plant grass seed. Well, so now my energy is having to support them in that way. Okay, they need the house. All right, it's real clear we need to have this house. So that all is falling into place. Someone is buying the house.